I know it may sound rich for me to say, but we were a loving, normal family before this happened.
And for a second, I slip out of my professionalism and I just try hard to just gauge the character of these people. I understand that there's a third party involved in some way, but part of me also wants to think that the easy route, that it comes down to them somehow, that it comes down to how they must have raised him poorly, that they were weak. Something in me is just searching for weakness.
You can make an intuition roll if you want, to see if they are hiding anything.
A 12.
You can ask a question. And while you're considering that, could I ask for Toby to make a perception roll?
16 plus 1, 17.
Toby, you see a face very clearly staring at you from the forest beyond the house. But before you can pursue it, Sylvia, what question are you going to ask?
How could I get you to sort of reveal your mettle or reveal to me what kind of parents you have been without them clamping up completely and without me going into the being too unprofessional or looking unprofessional?
It's a tricky one because, yes, as soon as you start asking a question like, did you ever discipline him too much or too little, or was he scared of you, or anything like that, it's calling their parenting into question, which is what you're doing, but you're attempting to do it in a sly way, where they are not offended. And so, the best way for Sylvia to ask such a question would probably be through relating to them. Relating some of her experiences as a parent of what she believes was a troublesome child, but was probably just the wrong child for the wrong mother. Something like, when my son did this, I did that. And try and gauge a reaction, whether it's affirmation, revulsion, or the like.
And then I'll softly say to her answer, I'm only asking because of how it was with me and my now unfortunately ex-husband trying to raise a boy, and us always finding that we had different preferences of how much rules should be put upon a child and how restricted they should have been. And the times where I felt like I either pushed too little or too hard, and what things have led to. I understand that you must have, of course, questioned yourself, your own parenthood, being hard of yourself because of what happened. But I can't help but ask how you feel that you've acted.
Clara rubs her eyes. Do I have any regrets for how I parented Patrick?
I guess that's what I'm asking. You don't have to answer that. It comes from another place than what I came here for. But
I've spent nothing more than the last 5 weeks since it happened, questioning what I did wrong, what Paul did wrong, whether there was anything we could have done to see this coming, to stop it. We did everything. Parenting is never perfect. Sometimes you shout at them. Sometimes you feel the urge to hit them if they won't do as they say. You're trying to get them to leave the house at a certain time and they won't, and they're making you late and the stress is building up, all of that. But you don't do it because they're just children and you're a grown-up. And Paul and I were always as far as I know, good at keeping that power differential in mind. We try to respect Patrick and Elizabeth as they were growing up and becoming their own people and having their own will, and maybe we were too indulgent, maybe we were too relaxed with them, maybe we let them get away with more than some parents would. But we never ever considered that it would lead to something like this, letting him play for a bit too long on his computer, or stay after school on extra classes, or watch horror movies. You know, you just think... No, all of these things are things that go through our heads as we think, what was the catalyst? What caused it?
And as she's talking and going on, I can feel my own deep shame bubbling that I once failed my family, and how I since then blamed everything on Brian for being weak, and that causing then to rub off on Richard, my son. That's why he hasn't been taking things into his own hands with this, making sure that some sort of justice is served, and it boils up into a defensive stance, and I'm turning slightly cold from where I was previously, knowing, well, perhaps not knowing, but wanting to find their guilt, wanting to find that it's somehow in the parents of the child that this has come from. And so my bit of empathy just fades a bit from my eyes, and I say, I understand. It is hard. Well, thank you for your time. I believe we need to look for the next one. Perhaps ask his friend.
In all of that, you never pick up any kind of malice or evasion in what she's saying. From your successful intuition, yes, it renders you cold. Yes, it makes you question yourself. But on some level, she is also a reflection of you. She is a mother who is questioning her ability. But in comparison to your maternal abilities, whether they came naturally through the way you were raised or through what you learned, whatever the fact may be, it's impossible to imagine your son not being better off with a mother like this.
That's probably what hurts the most. If you think of anything, or this face somehow, well, if you think of anything else with regards to what we've talked about, here is my card.
Thank you. And yes, let me just... And she goes to get a pen to write her number down. But while doing that, Toby, you're ambling off in the direction of the tree line. There's that face. It's your brother. He's watching, and he's not that far away. He's only about 50 yards from you.
Oh, this is great. I mean, it makes sense. Maybe he's been following me. I mean, that's maybe why I've kept seeing him everywhere. I gotta find him. I just move forward as quickly as I can. I don't even bother to tell Sylvia where I'm going.
Okay, and Sylvia's still caught up in conversation. You reach the tree line, and predictably, frustratingly, the head ducks back. The pale skin on Ken's face is no longer visible in the shadows of the trees, but you can hear cracking of footsteps over branches, over dry twigs. It was in the woods that you last saw Ken. This forest probably connects up, in fact, to where you last spent time with him.
It would make sense. Maybe he came back here. I mean, maybe he knew that I'd find him then.
Hey!
Hey. I look around. Where's the voice coming from?
In the darkness of the woods, it's now night time above you. Don't come in any closer. I'm not well.
Oh, sure, I'll stay right here. Ken, is that you?
Yeah. It's me, Toby.
What happened to you, man? I haven't seen you around. You've been gone.
I had to get away. I had to get out of Devonsport. I was feeling like the walls were closing in.
Good instinct. It isn't really a place for us, is it? We should go somewhere, bro. We should leave. We should start anew somewhere else, you know?
Seattle.
Yeah.
No, that's where you need to go. It's where you need to go next.
Seattle?
I'm keeping an eye on you, brother.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that you're okay. I was so worried. I thought I found your stuff, and then you disappeared. I'm just happy that you're all right. But you'd better take care of yourself. If there's anything I can get for you, medicine or whatever you need, I can hook you up.
You're so beautiful. You've never heard him use words like that to describe you before.
Well, thanks. You know what? It's gonna be all right. You know, we're gonna be all right.
Tell the police chief. Get straight to Seattle.
Will I be able to see you again? I mean, you gonna be okay?
Oh, you'll see me again.
All right. I trust you'll take care of yourself. Then I'll see you later, and we can catch up. Hopefully, you'll feel better.
Brother. And you hear the cracking of twigs and timber as footsteps trudge off into the thick of the forest.
This makes me very worried. He didn't sound good, but he's been sleeping rough. He's been, living the hard life. So, it's not surprising, really. I know how that can be. All right, but he did say something. Why would he know about this? He's been looking at us. He's been keeping an eye. I suppose I should be grateful for that. Seattle.
It does make no sense. It makes no sense. Because even if he has been watching you, and this is what's going through your mind as you're walking back to the house where Sylvia's just finishing up her conversation with Clara, even if he had been right over your shoulder, he couldn't have known everything. How much does he know? What is he talking about? Is he even referring to the same issue? It's not sticking together, this puzzle. It's like there's a piece or three missing.
Yeah. And maybe that piece is me. Was he really there? I mean, he seemed to be there, but I don't trust everything I see anymore. But it's a good hunch. Maybe it came from me. Seattle. Talk to the police chief. All right. I'll do that. And I move back to Sylvia.
Clara has just handed over her number and details to Sylvia. Just hold on to your son, Mrs. Spears, if I can say that. And no matter how much older he may be than Patrick, you don't know what it's like to lose you don't know what it's like to lose a child. I know you lost your grandchild. I'm not trying to diminish that, but
Sure. I appreciate the sentiment. Well, good luck with the move. And I nod and I suppose I will have to go through the house to get back to my shoes.
that's right.
As I see Toby coming back, I just sent you a glance as I start heading through and then getting out on the other side and back towards the car. I look at it again.
As you do so, you notice the footprints that you've left leaving the house. It's like you've been walking through red paint or clay-like mud. You're leaving a trail of footprints that go from the house all the way to your car. Just faded as you reach the car door.
I stop for a minute seeing this.
Toby, your boots have left the same prints on the driveway.
I just shake my head. Something seriously fucked up with me, I think to myself. I just go to sit in the car and I'm quiet. I gotta get a grip.
Yeah. As that takes my attention from wanting to have to look over the car, I just look at it for a while and then I just scrape my feet against the ground, the shoes, in case there's anything left on them. And I feel a sudden urge to wash, to get clean myself. I step back into the car. You could have just asked to use their bathroom, if you needed to.
That wasn't what I was doing. I think we need to go to Seattle.
What?
We need to go to Seattle.
Seattle? And do what?
I think that's where the answers are. Ken told me. I trust him.
Who's Ken?
It's my brother.
Oh. Did he call you? And why does he know about this?
He knows. Can't explain it. Can't explain any of it. We gotta go to Seattle. Trust me.
I was thinking that we would go and ask this Hussein friend of his. Seattle where? It's a big city.
Dwayne will know.
You think?
I know.
Give him a call. I give you my phone. Assuming that you don't have one.
Oh, I have a phone. I'll call him. I will call for Dwayne, trying to get a hold of him, but I'm sure he will be in the middle of something.
Well, Dwayne, you've just arrived at the high school as the phone goes off. It's now night time at the school, of course. And getting in may be harder than it would have been during the day. But you see that there's a phone call coming in.
I frown a little as I look at the school. Didn't expect it to get dark at this time of night. I suppose I should have been checking the time today. It's been a long day. That's probably going to make the school a bit irritating to search now, so it's probably locked up. I see the phone ringing. Yeah, McLean.
Dwayne, it's Toby. You know that we need to go to Seattle, right?
What you talking about?
We need to go to Seattle. Ken told us that we need to go to Seattle. And he said that you would know. You would know why we need to go there. And I trust him. He's my brother, and he's always been looking out for me. And I'm sure he's looking out for me now as well. So, Dwayne, why do we need to go to Seattle? What's over there?
The only reason we would be going to fucking Seattle is to follow up one very mild thing. But put Sylvia on the line. What have you been drinking?
No, but she has. I give her the phone.
Yes.
What the hell's Toby talking about?
I don't know.
You heading over to the school or what? I mean, to be fair, it's closed now, so it's getting fucking late. Like, why does he suddenly want to go to Seattle?
We're on our way. I don't know, and by the sound of your voice, it seems like you're quite agitated about it.
Do I know how long a drive to Seattle is going to take from Devonsport?
This time of night, probably around 2.5 hours.
I mean, I might have a reason to go to one address in fucking Seattle. Probably wasting time. Plus, it's 2.5 hours to drive to Seattle. Like, does he want to go now?
I just look over at Toby. You thinking we're going now to Seattle?
That's what Ken said.
That's what he says.
Just get here. Just get here and talk to me in person. And I hang up.
I hand the phone back to Toby. He'll be at the school. It shouldn't be far.
All right. Let's go meet up with him and then let's go to where we need to go.
He did sound like he knew something. He had an address in Seattle, and he sounded quite agitated about it.
I told you. Ken knows. He always does.
I grind my teeth a bit and just look at you slightly sideways, but then deciding to be a bit more focused on the road this time.
So, do the three of you meet up and all head to Seattle together?
Well, we'll go to the school at first, and then I see how willing Dwayne is to actually do this, or if we're looking at anything else at the school first.
Okay, in that case, you pull up outside the school. The floodlights still illuminate the car park. There are no lights on inside the high school. The only car that's present beyond yours is that of Chief McLean. The high school itself has been vacated since the shooting. The students are now heading elsewhere for their learning, those who have actually returned to academia. Since that time, apparently the school has been undergoing cleaning, but why the cleaning has taken this long, you have no idea. Perhaps it's more something to do with the community being shaken that has prevented people from moving back in and resetting their lives as if nothing happened.
As I step out of the car, I look around to see if Dwayne is hanging about in the parking lot then at his car.
I am looking over the school and I see the two approach and I head over and I say, all right, Toby, just shut up. So Sylvia, why does he want to go to Seattle?
First of all, there seems to be a possibility that the person on the sketch, which for now, for whatever reason, has disappeared from my phone, might have been a YouTuber or an online presence. That's how Patrick might have gotten into contact or getting influenced by him. The parents, at least the father, seemed to think that he saw him on his son's screen at some point. Of course, all the computer stuff has been taken by the FBI. Patrick's sister might also recognize him from somewhere. And so I thought we would interview perhaps his friend, Patrick's friend, but it seems now that you know something that I don't, judging by your own expression.
I followed a hunch, and my memory's not great all the time, but I remember faces. It occurred to me that sketch looked a little bit like somebody I know used to live around Devonsport years ago, Mr. Hoyvok. So I thought I'd check in with his parents, who I happen to know. And yeah, okay, I have their address in Seattle.
Right. All a bit too coincidental, considering the other strange circumstances surrounding this case.
That's exactly why it's the right place to go.
You wanna drive now? We're 2.5 hours drive now. We're not gonna be talking to any kids, by the way, at this time of night, Miss Spears. I don't think we're getting in the school either. I mean, I was gonna get fucking ready to call it a night, but you wanna drive now?
The person on the sketch didn't exactly look like a kid.
No, they're not. They'd be, probably in their early 30s, something.
Well, What did you hope to find at the school in the first place? Any kind of clues that we might have missed something?
Well, yes, but obviously it's late now, and I thought the team would still be here. They're not. I don't know how we get in. Just some evidence that someone else had been there, but... Yeah.
I see no urgency in looking into the school. There is more urgency if this person possibly being connected to the shooting. And if any hint would be coming their way, then we'd better be off sooner rather than later.
I wordlessly go to my car, and I notice you've got a car as well, and I say, well, what, you want a carpool? We both driving? I'm not paying for your parking.
I just give you a blank stare, and then I step back into my car. Toby, you can ride whoever you want to.
Sure. I'll ride with Dwayne. And I'll go sit in the passenger seat of Dwayne's car, being somewhat relieved to not be in Sylvia's car anymore, given what happened before.
I am irritated, primarily because, really, I'd love to have dismissed this whole thing, but something in the back of my mind just wants to go there, just to prove it, just to prove that if we find him there, and Eric's just normal, then he's innocent. So, maybe that's why I'm agreeing to this fucking midnight trip, or whatever it's gonna be. So I look at Toby and say, right, okay, you happy? We're gonna go to fucking Seattle.
Yeah, I'm happy. Let's do it.
Why did you even want to go to Seattle in the first place? What I don't get it.
Ken told me that that's where we need to go. And I trust Ken.
I turn on the ignition and start driving, and as I'm doing so... Oh, your fucking brother told you. Great, okay. Great, that... Whatever. Bloody hooifuck.
As you are pulling out of the parking lot, that leaves Sylvia to travel alone, by the sounds of it. Sylvia, you were about to leave as well when a car pulls in.
Ah, perfect.
You recognise it as one of Jessica Inzio's cars. It's an SUV, to be more precise.
It gives me pause for a second. I flash the lights at them, the headlights.
The SUV pulls up alongside your car, and the window goes down.
And who is there?
You can hear Jessica, but you can't see her, shadowed in the car as she is. But her hand snakes out through the window with a piece of paper in hand that she pushes toward your window.
I lower my window as well to reach out and take it.
This sketch, this symbol that's drawn here, do you recognise it, Sylvia?
I take the paper and I open it and have a look.
It is very similar to the one, well, you have now seen multiple times in multiple forms.
It's... yes. We've stumbled upon at least 2 other very similar patterns. Any idea how this is related to this?
Can you pass the sketch back, please, Sylvia?
I do, and I also unfold the napkin holding up the one that I drew. This is something that I came upon in my research.
She leans, and now you can see her. Just peering through the gap. Huh. No. Just interesting. That's all. Well, do keep me updated. And the window goes back up. And the chauffeur starts driving.
And, words are caught in my throat as I was very ready to ask more. Just why does she want this? What does this mean to her? But at least As I then start driving again, I think to myself, it's not about me. It's not about some pity case. She has a genuine interest here. Something going on way above my head. Secret Illuminati shit. And it's a bit of a relief. In one way, it's not about me, it's not about Henry. And in another way, I feel a strong sense of curiosity about what is this? Why is this so important to her? And I try to memorize the difference in what her key or sketch looked like compared to mine, and then finally the one that was scribbled as graffiti on the Dubois house.
The three of you make your journey to Seattle. It's without any incident, no hit and runs this time, though, Sylvia, you are a little concerned about the state of your car, and that greasy texture while you've tried to attack it with the windscreen wipers and the spray is just not shifting. The entire car is starting to smell something rotten. You're going to have to get the whole thing serviced once all this is done. But eventually, you reach the city, and it is close to midnight by the time you get here. The sun, goes without saying, has well and truly set, but Seattle is a busy city. There are still plenty of people around, plenty of cars whizzing by. And so as you pull up outside the apartment block that you have noted on your address, Dwayne, you see Sylvia arrive not too long after. Do wonder what was holding her up. And a tall tower block, quite innovative in its design. You know, it's not the first time you've been to Seattle, but this building is quite a marvel in its Art Deco exterior combined with classical pillars and a mix of frosted and tonic glass that as you pass it, it seems to reflect light and yet refract images, creating an oily texture to look at. It's really quite stunning, quite expensive, you would imagine, to live in a place like this just based on how it looks. But here you are, outside the apartment block so noted.
I frown a little to myself as I consider the building, because does this look like the sort of place that's gonna have good security?
It may do, or it may just require you to buzz your way in. It depends on how well the neighbours know each other and whether they just let anybody in.
And of course, out here, my credentials mean jack shit.
Well, you're still an officer of the law.
True. I kind of give Toby a bit of a look and say, well, is your brother communicating you right now, telling you where to go?
No, but he did tell me that you would know the way, and you obviously know the way. You obviously have the address, so let's go check this place out.
Well, I have an address, but if someone isn't home, that's probably going to be the fucking end of our night. I thought it would be more... Never mind. And I get out of the car and begin approaching the building, trying to find its entrance.
And I follow.
Sylvia, you roll up and see your companions are already making their way toward the building.
I get out of the car, thinking to myself how Sylvia possibly could know that we were there at the school at that point. There's just everything here seems dreamlike. Nothing's really right. I light up another cigarette as I start hastily walk after them. The two others.
You find the main entrance to the apartment block. It's a set of automatic doors that lead you into a well-furnished marble lobby. A security guard sits behind a desk. Quite attentive, not the usual sight of someone who looks overpaid for underwork, reading a book or staring at the internet. He greets you, Can I help you? Are you looking to be taken to a specific apartment? I don't recognize you as residents.
No, that's right. I'm wondering if you could be oh so helpful. We're looking for Mr. Eric. Eric Switzer?
Switzer, yes. Yes, of course I know Mr. Switzer. I will buzz up for you, if you just wait there. Who should I say is calling?
Dwayne McLean. He might not recognize my name. I'm friends with his mother. That's why I'm here.
He picks up the phone, presses a couple of numbers, sits there, gives you one of those looks that says sorry for the wait. Mr. Switzer isn't answering, I'm afraid, sir. It's possible he's out of the building. Would you like me to pass a message on? I can recommend a hotel.
His mother was worried about him.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Saying that, I hadn't been in touch. Could we perhaps maybe go together and just make sure that he's alright?
He seems unsure. This is his post. He can't just go around leaving it and escorting people willy-nilly. Could you make a charisma roll, please, Toby?
That is 20.
Well, I'm never going to stand in the way of a worried mother and her child. I'll take you straight up.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no. It's really my pleasure. I do hope he's okay. He walks over to the elevator, pushes the button. Mr. Switzer lives in apartment 8.
Thank you so much. 8.
I believe he works at a software company not far from here. Though, as I say, I haven't seen him recently.
What's the name of the company?
What was it again? Red Soft, I think.
Thank you.
He scans his card. This will take us up to the correct floor. So, have you travelled far?
Oh, yeah, we've come straight from Devonsport, actually.
Oh, I can't say I know it.
It's where this man is, where his family's from.
Ah, I see. Well, I hope you haven't had to drive too far. Here we go. Doors open. Now, apartment 8 is just down there. I will be heading back down to the lobby. I can't leave it empty, and unfortunately my colleague is off ill. Needless to say, you can use the elevator to come straight back down to the lobby, or the stairs, and of course if you need me for anything, do just come back down.
Well, listen, before you go, I kind of lean in, and I, just take out my badge and credentials. Say, just so you know who I actually am.
Oh.
Do you have a key on you, just in case doesn't answer the door? Again, this is confidential, okay? Mom is real worried about her son's well-being. I want to come and say it's all fine, but just in case he doesn't answer the door, I kind of want to tell her that I tried, I went in, he's sleeping, or he's not there. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there, and he squints at your badge, Officer McLean. You see, while these apartments are rented, the security does not have keys for each resident's apartment. That's the province of the landlord's consortium, of which, needless to say, and he leans in, if Mr. Switzer's in any trouble, and he has always been a bit of a twitchy young man, yeah, it would probably be the landlord's preference that you gave the door a swift shoulder than leave it hanging. I mean, I'm sure they don't want anything hanging over the apartment block, needless to say, but I don't want to be calling them at this late hour. So do what you need to do, and I'll square it all away.
For a moment, I actually look quite surprised, because normally this would have required a little bit of green passing hands, but the fact the guy's so happy to cooperate, I give him a nod and say, "Oh, I understand. Thank you for the advice. I just didn't want to cause you no trouble. You know how it is, one security person to another.
No, well, we all have mothers, don't we? And if he's in trouble, or if he's unwell, if his mother's concerned and the law's involved, and he looks at Toby, whose words clearly struck this security guard's heart, I just want Mr. Switzer to be in safe hands.
Yeah, we'll make sure of that. Thank you again.
Quite all right.
And we'll begin making our way to apartment 8, was it?
Yes. So apartment 8, the exterior doesn't look any different really to apartment 7 or 9. It's a wooden door, there's a peephole, there's a small key fob, but nothing beyond that.
I give Sylvia a bit of a look and I say, I suppose we should try the diplomatic approach first, knocking on the door as I say this.
I give a nod. So you have a name for him as well. Switzer, what was his first name?
Eric.
Eric Switzer. And as you have knocked, I'll stand and wait for a bit, but you can see that there might be more that I want to say.
The door goes nowhere, and you don't hear any sounds of life from within.
Toby, I'm, getting on a little. Do you want to open the door for me, please?
Sure, I kicked in my fair share of doors in Fallujah.
Hell, Toby's probably quite adept at picking locks as well. It's not like he's always lived on the right side of the tracks.
That's true. What do I think would be the best given the quality of this door? This is clearly no, ramshackle door in an Iraqi city. This is probably something a little bit more sturdy.
Yeah, and likewise, the lock and the sturdiness of the door are probably going to be quite tough. So really you've got a choice. It's how much property damage you want to do.
Well, it would be nice to be kind to this man who helped us get here and not cause too much damage that will have to be explained later. So if I can pick the lock, then, that would cause less damage and would bother less people living on this floor.
That's very true. In that case, could you go for a reflexes roll, please? I know it's typically avoid harm, but I think that's the most appropriate right now.
8 plus 6 plus 1, 15.
15. You are able to unlock the door with your picks. It's been a while since you put them to use, and perhaps it's a bit shocking to Sylvia and Dwayne to see you just carry these tools of breaking and entering around with you. Unfortunately, you do snap one of them off in the lock, so that's going to need replacing, but you reason it's a small price to pay when compared to breaking both hinges off the wall.
It sure is. And, I guess I get the door open.
You do indeed. So, as you open the door, you are all struck by the terrible odour from within. Decomposition. Rich, thick decomposition. And there's a warm, cloying temperature. It's like being back in that motel conference room, as if this place hasn't been ventilated in quite some time. And that odour hits you at the back of the throat. It's not so much that you can taste it, it's almost like a film coats your face.
What? Jesus Christ. I take a step back.
And I put my hand over my mouth and nose, and I begin venturing inside. I'm no stranger to smells like this.
No.
I venture inside as well, taking a moment to take a deep breath. I am familiar with this smell as well, though I haven't had to smell it for some fucking time. What the fuck?
I'm not about to be left behind, the men. I'm going to go in as well, covering my mouth with my sleeve. Ugh, and nose.
The first thing quite innocuously that comes to mind, maybe inappropriately at that, is, well, there's flies buzzing around in here, so there must be some ventilation. But where there are flies, there are undoubtedly their spawn. Something has died here. That is unmistakable. And judging from the smell, that something has been dead for a while. And in this heat. The apartment is small. As you pass inside, pushing the door shut behind, you enter a hallway. There's a bathroom to your right. A living room just up ahead, you can tell. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. And probably the kitchen in here as well. These places in Seattle, from what you know, they're often small in foot space, but incredibly expensive with it. This place is dirty. Months of dust, you think, gathered on many of the surfaces.
I try and head to the bedroom, I suppose, not wanting to follow the stench just yet.
Honestly, it's difficult to follow the stench. It's so thick in the air that tracing it to its source would probably take a tracker dog that would be knocked out by the pungency, but you head to the bedroom. It doesn't look to you like anyone has been in here for quite some time. Again, it's a terrible mess. The stale, putrid air is thick here as well. Curtains are closed. But you're able to see that once upon a time this was lived in. The walls and ceilings of this bedroom are covered in, well, what can only really be described as occult symbols. Some are carved into the wallpaper and wood. Some are drawn crudely with felt pens. Others are printed on paper and glued or taped to any available surface.
What the fuck? Shit. I'll start searching around, see if I can find any information on what the hell's going on here. And I'll call out to the others, saying, nothing in the bedroom yet. Are you guys seeing anything? Careful. Don't touch anything.
I'll check the living room, I say, and then I immediately put my hand back to my mouth and nose.
And where's Sylvia going?
I'll go to the first room, just checking the toilet in case there's a bathtub filled with dead body.
It wouldn't be that much of a surprise, given the richness of the stink here. You enter the bathroom, and, well, it's revolting, to put it mildly. Without going into too much detail, the toilet hasn't been cleaned or flushed, and it is revolting. The bath as well. Whoever lived here had no house training, would be a mild way to put it.
First instinct is to just turn on my heel in the doorway, but I just lean over to check the cabinet just to see if there's anything in there, any, I don't know, substances or drugs or anything else, something that would stand out.
Basic toiletries. You've got deodorant, shower gel, some soap, razor blades, that kind of thing, but nothing to imply someone in need of medicine.
Yeah. If not, I'm just gonna get out of there and possibly look at the kitchen.
When you exit the bathroom, the immediate urge is to suddenly exhale, because you've been holding your breath as you've been walking around that fetid place, but then the inhalation that follows is not much better. About the only thing that can be said in the hallway's benefit is it doesn't stink so richly of shit, but the stench that makes up for it isn't a terrible improvement. You could go to a window in the kitchen, yes. There is a small kitchen off from the bedroom.
Yeah, that's probably... I'll head straight over to the kitchen and just try and open a window and breathe some air.
Yeah, this many floors up, you do get a nice rush of cool air when you open the window, and God, is it refreshing. You feel like you've been trapped in this place for hours now that your nose and mouth are up to the gap between the window and the outside world, just able to breathe in heavy gulps this fresh Seattle night air. It's not as clean, you're sure, as out in Devonsport, but it's much nicer than what is behind you. Toby, you're in the living room. Well, it's in the living room where you discover the source of the odour, or at least the central source of it. Much as in the bedroom, these occult symbols are all over the floor, ceiling, walls, in myriad fashions. But they aren't the source. The source comes from the small working area, like an impromptu office that's been set up in the living room. There's a desk, there's a computer, a monitor at it, and a chair. There was a body in the chair. Was being the operative word because at this point it's largely melted. You've seen in war zones the horrible states bodies can fall into, though usually mummification is a natural phenomenon in intense heat, especially when it's a dry heat. Unfortunately, when it's a damp heat and air continues to circulate, maybe as a result of air conditioning, perhaps just moisture in the air, bodies have a habit of separating flesh from their bones. Organs start to pool and liquefy inside the body and eventually leak from orifices. The body, were it on a bed or a stitched chair, may have become one with the fabric beneath it. As this desk chair is largely leather, it's more appropriate to say that the body has melted over it. Bones are visible, ligaments too, and tendons, but muscle and skin has made this body look like a melted candle that was once in the shape of a man. But the only reason it is recognisable is because of the bones so clear through the melted skin, and the unusual sight of a headset, a VR headset, over the top of its dome and face, along with headphones, large ones, covering what used to be its ears. It maybe goes without saying that this person is dead, and it looks like he has been for a while. The body, what little you can focus on it, is covered in tattoos and scars where the flesh is still intact. Many of them are of the same occult symbols painted all over the place. They are the same symbols you have seen around Devonsport.
This is all connected. This is a really gruesome sight. I move closer, though, intrigued by it, by the strange state that this body is in. And this headset. How would you die like that? I move towards it. I studied. I see if I can pick it up.
You can hear gunfire and screams, electronic sounds from the headphones attached to the virtual reality headset, as if whatever game was being played or movie was being watched is still on repeat, even this long after this body's expiration.
And I look inside it. What is it? Is he playing Call of Duty or what? And I put the headset on. Not thinking more about that. It's just a headset.
Exactly. You peel it from this melted body's head, somehow entranced by the idea, maybe being plunged back into a war zone, maybe just hypnotized by the state of this apartment around you. And again, this isn't your first rodeo with gore and death, by no means. But what you're doing now is inhuman. It's unnatural. Please lose a stability for doing this. You place the headset over your head, and as you do so, the illusion melts away in much the same way as the body had. Dwayne and Sylvia, you hear a crash of something heavy hitting the floor.
I frown, dropping whatever I was doing, and I just quickly dart back into the hallway and go, "Hey, I said not to touch anything."
I take another breath of air. Then I hear the thud and then the exclamation of Dwayne, and I assume that he's on it. I take a moment to just look over the kitchen to see if there's anything of note in here while I'm here.
Just a lot of very dirty plates crawling with maggots and flies.
I take a deep breath from the window, and then I venture further on into the apartment, seeing where that sound came from.
The two of you enter the living room. Toby isn't anywhere to be seen. The noise from the headset, not that you're aware of it, is substantially louder now than it was when Toby was approaching. It's like there's speakers around the room that are funneling in the sounds of screaming and shooting, clattering of footsteps and bodies dropping, begging voices, children mostly. No, 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 please don't, bang! And then nothing. White noise, a whistling, and then more screaming, more gunfire, the occasional explosion, the occasional thrust of a blade, cutting meat from bone. The room starts to spin for the both of you.
I try to grab hold of something to just steady myself.
I look at the scene with horror and disgust, and I try and find the speakers. Where's this fucking speaker? I want to turn it off. Turn that fucking noise off, Toby! Toby!
Dwayne, you lose 2 stability. Sylvia, you lose 1. Dwayne, you lose more than anyone else because as the room melts around you and the illusion utterly disappears before your eyes, you realise that the body in that chair slumped. And it's difficult to tell exactly how you know. This is your son. This is Eric, or what's left of him. And the room melts just as his body melted. And when you wake up, all 3 of you are somewhere different.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played The Shunned for KULT Divinity Lost, which was written by Jonas Nelson, with additional material from Petanado. The Shunned was released as part of the Screams and Whispers scenario collection. Our game master was our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and the series has been sponsored by the fine folks at Helmgast. The music was made by H.M. Carceri, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julián, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Xabier, and Antxon for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for KULT Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play KULT with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, death is only the beginning.